Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Bullion. Our guest today is Fabian Garcia, entrepreneur and host of The Breakaway Show. Welcome to Wall Street Bullion, Fabian.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's your first time coming down to Wall Street Bullion, so I wanted to get you on to talk about, all the exciting stuff that's happening in the gold and silver space, and even all, the craziness that's happening in the global economy. First, though, let's start off with gold and silver. Where do you think they're going in 2025?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I was just interviewing the director of the Heritage Foundation for the federal budget, Richard Stern, and I asked him this question. I said, "What do you see specifically stable coins that are tied to something other than the U.S. dollar? So let's say silvers, for instance." And he said, "I love it." He said, "I love it because we need to remove ourselves off things that are not doing well. And if silver is doing well and it's better for the American people, then why shouldn't we do things like that?" And then I met with Congressman Timmons, who is on the head of DOGE, which is the Department of Government. I forget what the last letter. It's not efficiency. But it's a subcommittee in the House, and he actually sits on it. And he's a big proponent of cryptocurrency as well. And actually, right now they are figuring out NFT clarity for people who own NFTs. So they're really trying to work out all of these things. The new Trump administration is very pro crypto. They're really trying to work out clarity for people owning things to say, okay, what am I going to have to pay? We know that some people have already talked about not having any tax on US based cryptos. Does that happen? I don't know. I really hope it does. And I think after Trump made all that money with Trump coin, I think he wants that too.
Yeah, now what do you think with the tariffs that's going on between countries like America and Mexico and in Canada? I'm living here in Canada, so of course there's so much opinions and thoughts on that. Do you think it's good for the economy, bad for the economy? What do you think?
The way Donald Trump does things, and I'm sure many people have already seen this, is that he makes a big claim to get people into action. So once he said the tariffs on Canada, Trudeau said he's going to resign. Your who was his name? She's the Minister of Finance, I believe. She said she was going to resign because she does not want to deal with the Trump administration and all the tariffs. What I do believe is going to happen is I think there's going to be a reorganization of shifts and shift of what is important to each country. So we know that we want to have at least the least amount of friction possible of trade between, especially America and Canada. It's one of our largest trading partners besides Mexico.
Right.
And China is actually, we are beginning the deep coupling from China and all the products that they consume and create. So I really wanted to be as easy as possible, potentially with Poliver getting in power, hopefully after Trudeau resigns and after the election, that'll be something that'll be easier to negotiate with Trump and him if that's who he is. But to go back to tariffs, I really do think that it's a big claim to make these leaders go into action. Trudeau went and met with President Trump. The president of Mexico, once he announced the tariffs on Mexico, said, okay, we're going to send 10,000 troops to the US border and we're going to now start playing nice. Trudeau said,
Right.
we're going to spend a bunch of money on securing the border, we're going to, have a drug czar now. So whether they're going to happen, I don't know. If they do, they do. But I want to make it as seamless as possible for the Canadians and Americans because I love you guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, you got the Americans are our biggest trade partner for Canada specifically. 40% of our economy relies on the United States. So, of course, a great relationship there would be huge. Now, getting back to, sound money and gold and silver, that's a main, our main audience right here is they're very heavy into physical silver and gold. Can you speak on a little bit, I guess, when did you first get into silver, gold, or if you have gotten into them, when was your first introduction in all of
Sure.
it?
My first introduction was in about 2008 when I was day trading gold bars through a company called Monex,
Oh, no
Monex.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to Mexico, lost service because back then, cell phones weren't what they are now. I had a big margin and my agent was calling me to tell me, hey, you need to sell. I didn't get any of my calls, so I got liquidated. That was my very first time
No
ever
way.
dealing with gold. I lost about, I think, 50% of my money there. It was a good learning experience, but listen, I'm a massive fan of precious metals. You cannot create any more. They're a rare commodity. Unless until we start harvesting asteroids, we're not going to create any more. And things like silver are used in so many different areas of products, anywhere from medical, dentistry, things like that. We have things inside computers, electronics, and gold, of course, is the best store of value. I mean, I don't have to tell your followers that. We
Yeah.
know that.
As you know, I'm a big fan of gold and silver, so I can't think of a better platform to partner with than Gold Republic. Gold Republic sells and stores physical precious metals in a simple, secure, and safe way with a buyback guarantee. You can access your portfolio 24/7 via their unique app, which is available for iOS and Android. And the best thing is, I can give you a 20% discount on the transaction fees with the code SILVER20. The link is in the description below. Check them out.
And it's really a way that you can't stamp gold with like a bar or something like that. I mean, you can, but you could just melt it. So it's really a way to remain untrackable. It's just basically what cryptocurrency was meant to be as well. We know that during the war, Russia really hoarded gold. From the last numbers I saw, about $400 billion or so is what Russia had hoarded, and that's the way that they were able to evade all of the restrictions that were placed on it by other countries by just saying, "Hey, do you want gold?" Of course. No
Right.
one's going to say no to that. So it's really a way to stay off the grid. I'm a massive fan of it. I know, we're at all-time highs almost for both of the precious metal gold and silver. And if we do go back to something like the gold standard, or if a percentage of the treasury is invested in gold, I can only see where it's going to go from here for people who are currently holding gold. Because as we know, silver is about what 9 times the supply of gold.
Right.
So having something that finite in the hands of the people, it's just going to do wonders for it.
Yeah, no, you absolutely nailed that, Fabian. And I guess what are your thoughts and opinions right now on the global economic, like where we are in the world right now? Is there anything that's concerning you right now with the global economy or even the U.S. economy?
Yeah, it's this deglobalization that we're going through. After World War II, we had the post-World War II consensus where everyone got together and say, hey, let's all trade a bunch because if we do, then we won't want to go to war with each other because we rely on each other. We've started to see a decoupling from, again, countries like China, and just really all over the world. Countries realizing that we can't rely on other countries that maybe have a bad humanitarian record or don't even believe in any sort of a democracy like there are many countries in the world. So we need to decouple from that. So we're seeing a deglobalization right now. In countries, we're seeing nationalization come back into the fold like we had before World War II. Countries want to produce and manufacture things in-house to be less subservient to other countries and not even able to do like, we can't call out the human rights errors that China does because they own so much of our farmland in our countries and our law firms and things like that and our media. So that's the change that I see us going through for at least the next 40 years. Now, where it's going to end up, I don't know, but there's massive pressure on Europe right now and leaders, especially. You have the AfD in Germany, you have Macron facing a lot of competition in France to do exactly that, to stop with the social democracy, to get back to a, I guess, slight nationalistic type of view for the people and actually manufacture things in-house to make your economy stronger. So that's really where I see things going in the near future.
Do you think it'll be more expensive, of course, if you start bringing manufacturing back at home instead of having it outsourced to China? Because a lot of people on my show, they say, the US dollar is the number one reserve currency in the world. That's why they can't have like the actual manufacturing as it did back in the day. That's why they outsource it to China because they purposely keep their currency so low. So how will Trump do this? How will the US economy, how will it happen? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. That's something that we debate on TikTok lives all the time with people is this tariff. So we can look back at something like solar panels. So a few years ago, when in Trump's first term, he stuck a pretty big tariff on solar panels,
Right.
right? For the next few years, solar panels went up in price because they weren't manufactured here. After about 5 years, you can look at the data, and the data shows that not only did the price stabilize, it actually was lower than when it originally began. That's accounting for inflation. So yes, typically when you have tariffs, and now here's the thing: is every tariff, every country around the world has tariffs. They've been around
Right.
for hundreds of years. It's not some new thing. Donald Trump enacted tons of tariffs in 2017. He brought our federal budget, our trade deficit down from like $370 billion to about 70 billion under Biden. Biden kept about 97% of those tariffs and actually increased other tariffs that Trump had already enacted, like the EV tariffs. So
Really?
absolutely. So I think what you have to do is twofold. Number one is you have to incentivize manufacturers from coming back and manufacturing in-house. That is going to cause some temporary destabilization in the price, maybe some increased prices. But what it's going to do now, you can negate that to a certain extent by things like giving them tax breaks, giving them or having deregulation, and making it easier and quicker and cheaper to produce the products that they can already produce. Now, it's not like we can't produce these things. A
Right.
lot of the things that we buy from China are very low-level menial jobs that can be taken over in manufacturing facilities that already exist. They just need more capacity and they need that ramp-up time. Now, if you're talking things like semiconductors, especially the very, very small ones that Taiwan does, well, that's a much larger endeavor that will take much more time. And, with the CHIPS Act that Biden passed, and they haven't broke ground on any of these buildings yet, but hopefully something like that will come to fruition soon. So I think it's going to be a combination of lessening the impact of inflation on the American taxpayer with things like tariffs and things like cutting spending, such as Doge is doing. And then I think with tax breaks to the companies that are actually trying to bring manufacturing back and potential tax breaks or the lowering of tariffs for countries that invest in the US, like China said Japan wants to bring in $1 trillion. Saudi
Right.
Arabia wants to bring in $1 trillion. There's tons of people that want to come do business here. It's just so expensive and hard to do it.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking.
So I think maybe a few of those items combined will soften the blow of any manufacturing coming back to the country.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's you absolutely nailed it there. Now before you go, Fabian, I'd love for people to connect with you. I highly recommend everyone to go check out the Breakaway show. But where can people connect with you? What's your socials?
Sure, my social is Fabian Lux, Luxe. Everywhere on Twitter, it's Fabian_1776. I have a political show called The Breakaway. In addition to that, I am the CMO of Bank X. It's a cryptocurrency stablecoin that's pegged to silver. You don't actually hold silver because that's a point of centralization that they can come shut us down if they ever get mad at us. So it just simply tracks the price of 1 gram of silver. But Fabian Lux is where you can check me out at.
Yeah, no, huge pleasure you coming down. This is your first time, so hopefully it's the first of many.
Yeah.
As the market develops, I'd absolutely love to have you come back, and I'm going to put your links in the description below for everyone to go check out. But yeah, thank you so much, Fabian.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to you soon.
See.